So probably I'll tell you something new, but I would like to listen to you and not in the dirty words. Well, we have the federal law on law enforcement support system, which regulates the activities of the police, and there is a special article that the bodies, relevant bodies, can run following activities. This is a federal law, so this right is given to the relevant bodies. If you look at this law, and it can be done without a proof of the judge, but not for, but for the time not over 48 hours. So this information can be collected for 48 hours, but then they must have a sanction. It is an interesting law, and you can get acquainted with it. We have a law on communication 126, and here you can see the what the operator must do for this law enforcement support system. It is it is fixed in the license text, and all the operators should do this in our country. So if you look at the this law on less, you can find that all these activities should be run with special technical equipment of the federal of the FSB, Federal Security Service, and there is a legal framework. There is decree of the government and the decrees of the Communication Ministry. Here I enlisted just a couple of them. They are old and they are new. So before that we had the following methodology. Each type, and we take it from the spirit of the law. So each type of the service, we should should have a document. These are regulations on network construction. Let me split the comments why we do this. And there is a part which tells that there should be licensed equipment. Then we have the regulations on implementation of equipment, then technical requirements on equipment, and after that we work out methodology of tests, and then certification lab checks this equipment. I must say that till now the law enforcement support system was organized in another way. So the equipment of the operator was not certified. One could buy a box or a hardware which the operator wanted. Now, new regulations on implementation. Those who know what I am speaking about can understand that it is to regulate the market of facilities which are used by the operators and to create competition. So there are certified boxes for each service. And then it is the problem of the relevant bodies to check it. So it is the main goal of law enforcement support system. It is formulated by that relevant body. So more or less it is clear. When there is an object of law enforcement support, we should find it out as quickly as possible, then listen to it. Not stopping the control when it is shifted from one network to another, not tell about it to anybody, and make so that nothing is broken up, nothing crashes. This way it is reasonable so far. You can see the same in other countries, almost the same. You can see the main technical solutions, what the relevant bodies should be. They should be the main links, inter-country links, then closer to the subscribers. They should get information at all types of the connections and information, actually the content of connections. You must understand that there are two big areas. One about the access to the content and another about the content or about the information about the connections. So the main difference is that operators should keep statistics and statistic information, and the access to the content of the messengers is possible for the controlled objects only. And you can see this difference at the slide. So there is a database and statistics. Here is the most interesting, and then the access to the content. How does it work in Russia? There is a border between the area of responsibility of the operator and the relevant bodies. An operator installs the equipment according to the rules and regulations. This equipment for law enforcement support is connected to the core system of the operator, and the other end goes to the control screen of the law enforcement support system. The border between these two areas, it is actually an existing situation. And if you read various discussions at the internet about that, and also the trial experience, we can see that the border is not really exact. There are relevant means at the facilities of the operator. So the opened documents cover the blue circle here, as well as the interface. Now this interface is described in the rules of implementation, and this document has the implementation rules, how it can be implemented. So, and this as for the requirements to this hardware is secret, so maybe there is the reply, but for the protocol. Here is the order of activities by law enforcement support. First, we need to define the subscriber's number. Then, with a special message, it is put by the control at the facilities of the operator. The results of law enforcement support goes to the control points, to all relevant control points. And so the information about geographical location of a subscriber should go to the central point. Then identification of the user according to the voice features and so on. What can be used for as filters? What features can be, what information can be filtered? So you can see here some sets. There are more, and all of them are familiar, and they are described in the regulating documents. Of course, it can be filtered by the name and surname. First, it is done with through the request to the database using the information systems of the operator's database. Then there should be identifier like IMCSI, IMEI, or MAC address, and then the technical identifier is being controlled. In fact, any feature which you can think of can be a filter. You can probably be surprised that I speak about post and telegraph. The relevant bodies have opportunity to read the telegrams, but it is the only official mean of connection, and it can be the only proof for example, the place of your work and so on. There are still documents at which we are working. They are related to the control of telegraph. And another surprise was that there is the special means of law enforcement support system at the filtering centers of the for example letters, because the relevant bodies, the controlling bodies, should filter it by index, by postal index, by zip code, or by by address, by name, and so it can be taken picture of this. So it is quite a difficult system. It is a fantastic tool, and it really functions, which really surprises me. And quite evident, I think it is the access to the database of the post operators, the information about letters which were sent, packets which were sent. And sometimes people write on the envelopes anything they want, and so there can be written so near the village Nagatino, or the red door nearby. So it is quite difficult to define the address exactly. But the postman also always bring the letters at the exact addresses. And so the postal operators know 26 ways to write the word St. Petersburg. And now, finishing this issuing of the implementation rules. So we're almost ready with the rules on implementation of commutation and routing equipment. So, sorry. There is the number. There is a list of rules. These are rules on certain equipment at the data network. They should support the connection with the with special equipment, and also the loop buffer for 12 hour, so to that this buffer can be replayed. It is in case, for example, if the object of the control is somebody sent from the internet cafe, and then you can see this what has been sent and looking at the traffic. And now everybody thinks about their own network, and you can imagine how many storages we need to keep the traffic for the last 12 hours. So the it is very cheap to do it. Well, the problem is quite serious because we understand the necessity, and at the same time it is a very big volume to be stored. It is discussed now, and it is widely discussed at the internet, and all the operators are very disappointed by this document. The control on MAC addresses, IPv4, login, emails, then in webmail too, and so there is the application. There is a list of webmails which should be supported by the related means and facilities. So there is the it has to do with the connections which are not encrypted, and the precision with the speed of 100 gigabit per second. But the protocol is quite simple, and it has not been changed since 15 or 10 years. The control by the UIN and ICQ, and just give me 3 seconds. And there is the connection, there is the transfer of the geographical location, but introduction of this system is very, very expensive. And as for implementation of the database, here are the features of these documents. We can think about the volume of storages, especially about the statistics of all TCP connections and UDP packages. Not the content, but statistics. From where and to where it went, when, and so on. There are many difficulties here. And you can guess what operators said when they saw this. My colleagues from Skype could react now. and the operators of the database, like Vertica, do not know anything about this. And so services make Oracle for this. And the cost of solution is 1.5 times higher as the budget of the organization for a year. While URM producers say that they use specialized database and it knows what it keeps, and such speeds are not a problem for this. But the thing is that the operators do not find correct solutions. But now we have a discussion with the operators. First, we are going to introduce the categories of storage time. It is nonsense to keep the statistics on UDP traffic for 3 years. People know that the territorial bodies do insist on keeping this for 3 years. Then we must, of course, classify this for how long we should keep it. Well, should I stop at the problem so you understand all of them? Or should I announce them? I hope that we don't need it, because we have already spoken about MNP. The main thing, there is no connection between the bodies and the regulator in this area, I mean my ministry. There is no regulating document where the law enforcement body enlists what they need. I have already said it to the law enforcement bodies, and they are ready to make such a list, because in the other case there can be too much wished, much more than what we can. And you know that the legal interception function is installed to all commutators. But the attempt to use this interface the not understanding as the internal code, and is the list as a secret, then the bodies do not let the producers to keep the object of control. And I know some examples when the operators could get the information about the controlled objects, and maybe the law enforcement bodies know what they do. I would like to use current solutions, not inventing something completely new. The regulating framework in our country is very difficult to be changed, and we need a lot of time and a lot of efforts to change it. The technologies emerge much quicker, and VPN, LTE, IMS control is not reflected in the documents. And then it can be solved at the on spot. And of course, there is growing costs by the operators. It costs a fortune, and nobody can say what happens in 5 years. Maybe over $100 million should be invested in 5 years for this, and all the requirements of law enforcement support system should be met by all the operators, and for some operators this sum is very high. maybe we should decentralize less, and maybe there can be some services who filter traffic, and so the operator filters the traffic, and then you avoid any problems with some controlling and supervision bodies. It is the biggest problem. In the regulating documents, the requirements on the hill traffic, we should either segregate the traffic or to put so many boxes that its number is in millions. But thank God we should not install such a box in each house. But it is the problem, still a problem. And of course, we have, so sorry Vartan, we have run out of time. At the next session we have time, so maybe we can move. Well, it will be a cool session. I have a question, just 3 questions. I have 3 different questions. No, just I can give from my. Could you raise your hands? Who read the bill of the 3rd part of the decree? Vartan, do you know? I have written it. So I am the only person who have read it. Then I understand why you read this, because there is some orthographical. So there is the problem of terminology, that was an orthography mistake, and quite widespread story. And any changes, and all the law enforcement bodies are against any changes, notwithstanding the orthographical mistake. But the main question is the following. You write a lot of decrees, we install a lot of equipment. Does anybody follows the law enforcement support system, its functionality? How many lawful interceptors were there? Maybe we invest now millions of dollars, and they listen to just one talk. The supervision of this activity is run by another body. We're technical body, but well, could you put in the decree that all this equipment is paid by the law enforcement bodies? You can see there are the representatives of the European countries, and all this equipment is paid by the law enforcement bodies, your regulator, and you are to solve this problem. So please, quicker. Then another question. Could you explain the position of lawmaker and the regulator? Who pays for the equipment of law enforcement support system, and for what is installed by the operator? So the position of the regulator is placed in the documents. So the operator should follow the law, and there is a decree on on launching of the networks, and each operator should sign a plan of introduction of law enforcement support system. And what is said by the lawmakers? Who should pay for equipment installation? The support to the law enforcement bodies is by the operators. So please, the next question.
External Relations. Forgive me for
Can you
speaking.
louder? Can you speak louder?
Marco,
Yeah, could you?
Yeah, Marco Hoogwaning, RIPNC. Forgive me for speaking English. My Russian is not so bad, that good. First of all, appreciate the openness for you standing here and explaining what you're doing. That's very, very much appreciated. That you're willing to come to the operators and explain what you're doing. I've got a question that is not completely on topic of the intercept system as you just shown, but can you explain maybe what is there, or what is the role for public registries in terms of law enforcement? Are you using our WHOIS databases to steer your actions, or is this completely fed from information you get from the operators themselves in terms of who has which IP addresses and where to go in terms of intercept?
That would be the question, not to the regulator for the standards body, but rather to the guys on the other side of the wire. I don't know.
Коллеги,
Вопросов много.
There are many questions. I have one little question. How did you solve the problem with Skype? We have discussed this with the law enforcement bodies. Skype is an unlicensed activity. Moreover, I can say that there are millions of programs which work via internet, and we cannot license all of them. The problem with there is the following thing: if something is not licensed, then for the regulator it does not exist. So there are no law enforcement support system. Technically I cannot speak about the Skype control, and we don't have any position here. In the current legal documents, there are no requirements. I like the filtering traffic idea. If you're a little internet provider, you don't have just money for equipment, and to go on, and there should be a reasonable mechanism for law enforcement support system. And our idea is to organize such a service. Okay, thank you. So my name is Ilya Popov. We are actually for a little operator, and we have a box. So the box is not certified. It can be certified. Should we pay several million US$ again? Are there any ideas? I hope no. You will not need to buy. There will be boxes, and I hope that the producers will certify the whole series, the whole range. But the certificate was not for the time when the box was produced. Well, the box will be tested, and when you launched your network, you didn't ask. Maxim Tulakov. Is internet exchange within the scope of this law? No. I'm from NetAssist. I suppose that it will lead to the fact that the whole traffic will be encrypted. Yes, it can be so. Dmitry Petrov, Comfortel. What body will certify the law enforcement support system equipment? There is a certification lab of the Rossvyazi, which certifies the rest. And you've said that there will be competition between the producers of this equipment. What will be changed? Unless we don't have the test program, each network has its own things. You know, there is no competition in this production. And the last question. these requirements, the requirements, are you going to explain the interoperation traffic and the traffic of end users? Unfortunately, we cannot say it based on the documents, on the existing documents. We have the observations of Rostelecom, and it is well described, and there is a new edition, because it is quite obvious to split this. Because we're speaking better. Okay, sorry, we have 10 minutes for the coffee break. So please, all the questions at the coffee break. I'm very sorry.